Because once I touch one person, that person can in turn take the torch and pass it on to somebody else and be an impact or be beneficial to that person's life just the way that I was to them. You see, when you have a cause that's bigger than you move with a sense of urgency. You understand that you cannot give up. There is no quit. There is no pause button. You have to do this all day, every day. And when I talk to my ancestors, I tell them, thank you. Thank you for paving the way for me. Thank you for being that motivating factor. So whenever I need somebody to lean on or whenever I need somebody to talk to, I know that I can talk to you all and you all will align me to exactly where I need to be so that I can be a benefit to whoever it is I'm in contact with. I don't do these videos for me. I get gratification out of seeing the impact that I have on people once they watch my videos. Same scenario in life. When I meet somebody, I want my impact to be felt. I don't want it to be heard. I don't want it to be seen. I want it to be felt. Because if my impact is felt, then when I'm long gone, you still will remember that encounter. There are a lot of people that are making impact in this world today. There are a lot of people that have been beneficial to you and where you are in your life right now. You should always give back. You should always give thanks. You should always acknowledge those people and be the example rather than setting the example. Because see, when you be the example, you're not sitting up here just talking about it. You're not sitting up here just saying to yourself, oh, you know what? Let me just verbalize how it is that I'm feeling. And if I verbally express myself, then maybe you can understand where I'm coming from. You need to do it by action. You need people to watch you and watch how it is you carry yourself, because once you operate out of action, it's felt. There are a lot of people doing a lot of talking, but not many are actually doing. And the time that you're wasting talking, that can be the same amount of time that you can be actually showing an example and showing people how they should carry themselves in certain situations so that they can say, you know what? I want to mimic you. I want to be exactly like you. But the cool thing about somebody saying that they want to be exactly like you, there's only one you. You can't be like anybody else. The people that you see on TV, you can't go out and be like them. It's best that you be yourself, because when you are yourself, everybody else is taken anyway. So if everybody else is taken, why don't you just learn to be the best version of yourself, and somebody will come along and say, hey, I like what you have done. I like how you handled yourself in this situation. I want to be the person to say, hey, I want to be exactly like you so that I can have the resolve that you have. It all starts with inner peace, ladies and gentlemen. If you don't have inner peace, no matter what it is that you're doing, it's not going to be genuine. I can sit up here and talk to you all day till I'm blue in the face. But if what I'm talking about does not come from a place of inner peace, then you will know that. You will know that my messages are false. You will know that my messages are hollow, because I'm not at peace with myself first. I have to be at peace with myself before I can reach out to you all and expect for you to do the same thing. When I first got in the car business, I was bartending downtown at the Exchange. I'll never forget it. The owner of a dealership, he used to see me all the time when he came in town, and he said, you know what, Ocho? You need to get in the car business. You have the personality that will do great as a salesperson. And I told him, nah, man, I don't want to do that. But in the back of my mind, I really wanted to make a change. I just didn't know how to go about doing it. So me and this guy met on several different occasions. And each time he came down there to the bar, he asked for me. He wouldn't allow anybody else to wait on him. He wouldn't allow anybody else to make his drink. He always asked for me. After maybe like the 5th time, I finally said, you know what? I'll take you up on that offer. I'll get in the car business. And I kid you not, the moment that I said yes, the moment that I told him that I would take him up on that offer, I felt relief. I felt relief because I knew that I was much more than a bartender, but I didn't know how to go about doing it. And here it is, somebody coming along telling me that I was so much more than what I was, and I didn't believe it. It took 5 different encounters for me to actually say, all right, I'll take you up on that offer. I got into the car business. I was purposefully looking around to see who were the successful people outside of the owners. And the people that were successful, those are the people who I gravitated towards. Those are the ones whose brains I picked on a regular basis. Because I said to myself, I see how you're living your life. I'll see how successful you are and how you're able to manage your job with your families and raising your kids. And that's what I want to be. I didn't have any kids at the time. So that's what I was aspiring to be like. So by doing so, they showed me the way. They showed me how I could be successful in that car business. And by doing that, I said to myself, I will not take anything less than success. I will be great at what it is that I'm doing. Because if I'm not great at what it is that I'm doing, why even do it? Why go into it tentatively? If I'm not giving it 100%, I'm just not going to do it. So by me being burned out in the food and beverage business, because I gave it my all, I was a hell of a bartender, but I was burned out because I knew I was so much more than that. So here this man comes along and gives me an opportunity to put myself in a better situation, and I didn't even want to accept it. I stiff-armed the guy on several occasions because I didn't want it. I didn't believe it. But once I took him up on that offer, once I got into the car business, my life changed. I started off as a salesperson. I stayed at that company for 3 years. I told all of my managers that, hey, I've been a salesperson for a long time. I've been successful for you all for 2.5, 3 years. One of the top salespeople there. I want to be a finance manager. And the cool thing about being successful in one era is a lot of times people are so accustomed to what it is that you're doing to where they don't want you to do anything else. I was so good at being a salesperson, they didn't want to make me a manager. They didn't want to make me a manager because I was making them so much money as a salesperson. They couldn't stand to forfeit that money that I was bringing in as a salesperson because they didn't have anybody else that could possibly take my place. So they say, you know what? Yeah, we'll make you a manager one day. If you keep doing what you're doing, you'll eventually get to that point. But what they were telling me and the timetable that I had in my head, it wasn't matching up. I was ready to move up then. And they were dragging their feet. I even did research on my own. I said, you know what? I'll pay for my own finance school. I was researching. I came across a school that I can pay for, that I can make installments on. And I took the paperwork to them and I told them, I said, listen here. If you don't want to pay for me to go to finance school, I will finance myself. This is what I came up with. And I handed him a sheet of paper. I never forget it. I walked into the general manager's office, handed him the sheet of paper with the owner standing right there. I said, if you don't want to send me to finance school, I will finance myself. But I will become a finance manager. One way or the other. As you can see, I've been doing my homework. They saw that I was serious. But I guess they called my bluff because they didn't make me a manager. So I said to myself, I'll tell you what, I'll take my talents elsewhere. If you don't want to make me a manager here, I'm going somewhere else. And wherever it is that I land, I will become a manager. I went from dealership to dealership. Each dealership telling me the same thing. We can't make you a manager. You haven't had any managerial experience. So if you don't have any experience as a manager, we can't just make you a manager right through the gate. But if you come aboard and you work your way up, maybe we'll promote you, but we'll promote within. We're not just going to bring you in as a manager when you've yet to become a manager. I did not accept that answer. I kept going from dealership to dealership. So finally, I landed at another dealership and I told them when I sat in the office, I remember this just like it was yesterday. I said, listen here, I'm coming aboard and I'm going to accept your offer. But I'm going to tell you just like this, I'm not just a salesperson. I am a manager. I will become a finance manager. And one way or another, that's what it is that I'm doing. And I'm not going to stop until you make me such. Or until you say, you know what, you promote me in that fashion. I was there for 2.5 years. 2 years. Finance managers came and went. A lot of them came, didn't pan out. A lot of them had all the experience in the world. You look at their credentials, you look at their resume, they were supposed to be the top finance managers in the state. A lot of them didn't pan out. Finally, I got my opportunity. After being overlooked by 3 or 4 different finance managers, they finally decided to say, hey, let's let Britton do the finance. Britton knows exactly what it is that he's doing. How come we're not making him a finance manager? And I finally got my shot. But when I got my shot, I'm going to tell you exactly what my general manager told me when he gave me that shot. He sat in my office and he told me, he said, listen, we're going to make you a finance manager. But in turn, you have a golden parachute. He said, you know what that golden parachute means? And I nodded my head. And he said, well, if you don't make it as a finance manager, you can always go back to being a salesperson. And I'm going to tell you what I did when he said that. I told him, I said, you know what? I'm not going back to be a salesperson. You don't ever have to worry about that happening. But also what it told me that he didn't think that I would be successful as a finance manager. I became the first African American manager that they've had in 59 years. In 59 years of existence at that company, they've never had an African American manager prior to me. So you didn't think that I was more than determined to say, you know what? I'm just not happy about being a manager. I'm going to be the best damn manager you've ever had since 59 years. In 59 years, I'm the first African American manager. I'm just not content with that. I'm going to take this and I'm going to blow it up to where you will never have another manager as good as me when it's all said and done. They doubted me. They didn't prepare me for success. They didn't train me, but I didn't use any of that as an excuse. I said, you know what? If I got to teach myself, that's what I'm going to do because I will not fail at this. I worked too hard for this. I've invested too much time to get to this point and just let it fall to pieces. See, what you all don't understand is you see people, but you don't understand what they do in the dark. You don't understand what they do when the lights are off, when the cameras are off and the doors are closed. That's when they do their best work. I studied my butt off, ladies and gentlemen. I was not going to be a victim. I was not going to sit up there and say, well, you know what? Just because I've gotten here, I can all of a sudden fall back. I wasn't okay with that. I became the top finance manager at that company. The numbers that I was putting up, they were astonished. They were like, how is this guy putting up these kind of numbers and he's never done finance before? I was putting up those numbers, ladies and gentlemen, because I refused to fail. I was not quitting. It was that willpower that propelled me and said, you know what? There were people that came before me that have laid the groundwork, and I refused to let them down. I refused to give up. I refused to quit. So finally, I went back to my general manager. After being successful as a finance manager, I told him, I said, you know what? Now it's time to renegotiate. He's like, well, what do you mean? I said, I've outgrown my pay plan. And he looked at me. I said, based on my numbers are better than any other finance manager in your company. I've been doing this consecutively for months now, going on years. It's time to renegotiate. Well, the renegotiation wasn't a negotiation. He went upstairs to his office, came back down with a different pay plan and said, here, Britton, this is what we're going to offer you. And I looked at him. I looked at the pay plan. And in the back of my mind, I'm saying to myself, how is it you can go upstairs and grab another pay plan so quickly when we didn't even negotiate? You know what that told me? That told me you had another pay plan all along. And because you had another pay plan all along and you had me on this starter pay plan, mentally, I was already gone. I made up my mind right then and there, I'm out. So I told him, I said, man, listen here. I have another offer on the table. I'm going to take that offer. And I can tell you like this. He looked at me, he said, well, you know what? Take that offer. But you'll be back. They all come back. And when he told me that, I said to myself, you got the wrong one. That's one thing you should know about me. I can care less about your opinion of me, because all I'm going to do is take that opinion and use it as motivation. When you doubt me, all I'm going to do is take that doubt and use it as motivation. I'm going to take that gasoline, use it as fuel, and I will turn that fire into a blaze. All he did was motivate me, ladies and gentlemen. He had no idea who he was talking to. Till this day, they've yet to hire another African American manager. They've yet to hire a manager that was putting up the numbers that I was putting up. But he said I was coming back. He had the wrong one. There's one thing you all should know about me. When my mind is set, when I am focused, when it is something that I want to do, nothing is going to stop me from doing it. Nothing is going to get in my way and prohibit me from doing it. The more that you say that I can't do it, the more fuel that you're giving me to let me know that I can. When I first got into speaking business, I didn't have a clue what I was going to do. I didn't have a clue that I would impact people the way that I'm impacting people. But I'm going to tell you what I said to myself. It doesn't matter just because I do not have a clue. What matters is what you become in the process. I knew that during the process, there will become a version of me that I've yet to meet. This field challenged me. It's still challenging me. It challenges me because you know what? I never got up and spoke in public like that. I was always reserved. I was always shy. I was always timid. Throughout high school, you can ask anybody I went to high school with. I was timid. I was shy. I was very reserved. But that version of me no longer exists. That version of me is long gone. Because now I understand that I have to be the best version of myself that I can possibly be. But it's the process. It's what you become when you're reaching for a goal or when you're reaching for something that is attainable or something that you thought was not attainable. You have to enjoy the process. There are people that came before you that have laid the groundwork, and I will not let my ancestors down. When you are invested in something, when you have invested time, when you have invested energy, when you have invested yourself, you will not allow yourself to quit. A lot of you quit because you don't have anything invested. And because you don't have anything invested, it's easy for you to throw in the towel. It's easy for you to walk away. When you're in a relationship, if there's nothing invested, it's easy for you to go out and entertain somebody else. But when you have something invested, when you have put forth energy, when you have put forth time, it's not so easy to walk away. It's not so easy to walk away because you're saying to yourself, I've invested too much. I got too much put into this for me to just walk. I can't allow myself to walk. When you are in a career, when you have invested your time, when you up late night studying like I do, it's times I fall asleep listening to videos on YouTube or listening to videos on my TV or reading books on my Kindle. I fall asleep with my phone in my hand, lights on. And I wake up like an hour and a half later because I cannot just go to sleep with everything on and I cut everything off. That part you all don't see. You all don't see me up at night studying. You all don't see the work that I put in. You don't see that. The only thing you see is when I cut this camera on and I do a video. The only time you see is when I'm in front of you all speaking to kids or speaking to companies. You don't see the work that I put in outside of that. I'm invested. And by being invested, I just can't give up that easily. I have to see it through. There is no quit in me. So I want you all to be the same way. I want you all to invest in something. When you invest in something, when you invest your hard-earned money, when you invest your time, you cannot just quit that easily. You cannot just throw in the towel. You have to see it through because you say to yourself, I've came too far. Yes, I'm in a hotel room. Yes, I'm out of town. But guess what? I'm still studying. I'm still putting in work because I know that, guess what? If I don't put in the work, somebody's going to outwork me. Y'all are being outworked. I am your favorite speaker, Britton Harvest. Hashtag breadcrumbs. Hashtag random acts of kindness, RAK. Excuse me, y'all. I'm getting a little sick, but it doesn't matter. Hashtag rag motivation. I'm out.